Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. Get yourself a coffee. Get ready to get started here in about 5 minutes. Good to see you guys in. Make sure you guys like the stream, and we'll get this shit rolling in no time. I'm going to be answering all your guys' questions and going over potential weekly corrections, dips I'm looking for, all that shit, starting in about 5 minutes.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
All right, how's everyone doing? Man, good to see you guys in the chat. Trader Geo, love you, bro. Good to see you in. Cizacito, HD, the only Jared, Jorge Campos, Crispy TV, Smashly, and OG Blockchain. Good to see you, bro. Man, good morning, guys. It's a Monday. It's a new week, new beginnings, but also a chance for the other side to take the reins for a bit. Looking at Ethereum here, just to start off here, you know, we get this kind of bullish pin bar here, this weekly close. It's a kind of a bullish red pin bar here. Now, typically with a pin bar, you actually want to put like a limit long, like halfway, like down on this pin bar. So you're probably looking for a long entry, like a safe long entry, probably around like 3750. Which actually maintains the structure of this upward triangle shape on Ethereum. So Ethereum, let's see if we can zoom in here, see some other signs. Let me know if you guys can hear me too, like how's the volume and everything. Let me know in the chat how everything's sounding. But man, you know, typically in normal market conditions, the daily waves looking like this would really do me a lot of concern, because like you're losing the 60 line. And it does kind of seem obvious with this money flow kind of aiming down here that this would kind of red dot out, and you would get lower on this momentum wave because we lost that critical plus 60 line threshold on Market Cipher here on the daily. So perhaps we do get a little bit of a markdown at the start of the week. We'll zoom in just a little bit further here, just because I want to show you guys some anchored VWAPs I'm really looking for. So this green anchored VWAP here, this is last week's anchored VWAP. This is a really nice level for Ethereum to come down here, and this could be a potential low here for the week. 3,800 coincides with your December anchored VWAP. And so, man, if there's not a bounce there, I would be very sad, especially with these market conditions. So look for a bounce either like today or tomorrow at that December anchored VWAP, coinciding with the previous week's anchored VWAP here. Now, another level I was potentially thinking there could be a bounce was actually right where we're at right now. I'm not taking the long, only because I believe that this target down here, the December VWAP, it's so juicy that I want to wait for it. I think it's worth waiting for. But what I do like is that the 5-day simple moving average is still upsloped, right? And so when you dip underneath it, you know, you get this like bottoming pattern as that 5-day simple is still sloped up. And you're kind of just buying cheap Ethereum in an uptrend. And so I do like the posturing of that 5-day simple there. But in my opinion, the long off this 5-day simple, like that was the one that we were talking about in the last stream. So the last stream, it was a couple days ago, we were over here and people were very bullish, and I told you guys, like, we had pumped up into a declining 5-day simple, and it's going to take a couple days for us to settle out and for this 5-day simple to scoop up. And so yesterday, finally, we were seeing the slope of this 5-day simple sloping up, and that's when I put the long in my VIP right here. And I personally entered a very high leverage, like 35x ETH long, and was able to double that position with this upper move here. And so there were some warning signs I saw, such as ETH hitting 4K and like some bear divs on these smaller time frames. So I closed the position, and I'm glad I did, because that was the top and we pulled back to that ascending 5-day simple. And I'm just not as excited to re-long the 5-day simple right now, because it's a new week. Like I said, this correction could get deeper. We potentially have a retracement on that bullish pin bar on Ethereum. So I would say look for longs on ETH around 3750 to 3800. If there's some good wave readings down there, then I'll probably be taking a long in my VIP. But it really pays to be patient in these markets, especially with some of the dastardly signs we are seeing. So let's take a look at Bitcoin here. Bitcoin on the weekly. Obviously, Bitcoin yesterday defying this red weekly sell signal and getting a new all-time high, despite the fact that the weekly chart here is getting this red dot here. But these things take time to play out, so we might be seeing this finally, like with this yellow oscillator crossing down and this larger divergence here. Like, this very well could play out, especially going into a new year. 2025, January 1st, 2025. Let me see if I can put just like a straight line on there. This is a very contentious point, a new year, new me kind of thing. Markets like to do that. And it's hard to say whether like Bitcoin would want to like retest the quarterly VWAP. That's that October 1st, the Q4 anchored VWAP. It seems far away, guys. It's down at like 80K. But around the new year, that would be when a move like that happens. And so it could be something that happens going into the new year. You know, you have like a major correction, and then on New Year's, we're already at that previous quarter's VWAP, and that gives us kind of a green light to just kind of pump right off the beginning, from the beginning of 2025. But we could also just keep going up, and then at the start of 2025, then we get that correction down. And so I'm really, really watching like what the waves are saying and what the VWAPs are saying around this new year, because this is very contentious territory, very, very scary territory, very high risk territory here. But I maintain a bullish posture as long as we're overperforming around the monthly VWAP, this white December 1st anchored VWAP, still sloped up. We're still over it. So from a price perspective, Bitcoin's still really strong. I mean, even in the smaller time frames, like the 5-day simple, still sloped up, still could get a bounce here, still could go higher. But if we did lose like 98.5, that December anchored VWAP there, then we start getting concerned, right? Then we start looking, okay, maybe we need to go back to the previous month's VWAP, the November VWAP at 89.2. And if we lost that, then we'd be looking at 80K that previous quarter. And so these are some very, very important levels to watch. Levels where if we did like flash crash down there, you would very likely get a strong bounce. These monthly anchored VWAPs are no joke. So keep these levels in mind. $80,000 Bitcoin and around $90,000 Bitcoin. And then more short term, we really need to hold 98.5, the December anchored VWAP. Just catching up on the chat here. Robin Banks said we took that trade, didn't we? Yes, we did take that ETH long. I didn't long Bitcoin, but I did take a really nice ETH long, but we closed that ETH long and we're waiting for a re-entry. Weekly, trying to hit that weekly low. Crypto Rooster said, how do I join the VIP? You can join my VIP by shooting me an email, which is in the description of the stream. And I usually schedule a one-on-one call with you, get you on the same page, and I'll set you up with my Leapfrog indicator so that you can cycle through all your crypto charts and see how the cryptos are responding around these major monthly levels. Just for instance, like I could go on ApeCoin here and all my AVWAPs are still on the chart. You could see Ape is struggling to hold over its monthly anchor. And it's got some strong support down there at like $1.20. So these levels are just insanely important for buying dips on. These are the levels where you're gonna get those wicks right down to, like, see Ape coming right down to the junction of the November and October VWAPs here. That was your bottom there. Moves like that happen all the time around these monthly VWAPs, so you really want to stay on top of them. Mike R says, if that happens, we could potentially fill the CME gap down there. Yeah, there's definitely some CME gaps that got left in the dust on Bitcoin. Let's see if we can find some. It's been a while since I looked at this CME chart. Obviously a good sign of market strength for us to ignore gaps, right? So one good way to measure, is Bitcoin going to come down to this big gap down here at like 77? That's a very good question. I think it's not really worth talking about until we lose the AVWAP from this candle right here. So as soon as that gap finished and we got our new daily candle here, we're gonna slap an anchored VWAP on that candle. That's currently at 95K. And so personally, bro, I would not be concerned about this gap down here filling in the 70s unless we lost 95K. So it's just not worth talking about right now. But like I said, if we lose 95, then we can look at the larger correction down to the quarterly support there, and you likely get a little bit of like overshoot, just to fill that gap, and then a potential bottom there, right? And you go up going into 2025 like that. Something like that could happen. Not right now, but at some point in the future. So just keep an eye on that 95 level or that anchored VWAP from that day after the gap. And I guarantee, man, when you get a daily close under that VWAP, it's a very strong sign that you're going to get that retracement. For instance, you put an anchored VWAP on the candle after this gap, and you can see we very quickly start closing daily candles over that, and it's very certain that we fill that gap very quickly. Over here, you could put a candle after this gap, and you can see that it looks like it's running away from it for a while. But then once you start getting these closes underneath it, it's only a matter of time before you get that large correction down and you fill that gap right there. So you can see how the AVWAPs help you with reading those gaps. Mensajero de Dios asked a good question. He asked, do you have videos explaining the anchored VWAPs? I do. There's a video called The Leapfrog Strategy, generating weekly, monthly, and quarterly trade setups with anchored VWAP. It's on my YouTube. If you just scroll back far enough, it's from a couple weeks ago. And then there's also all my streams and all the content that I've posted all year that's free. But if you do join my VIP, I do have additional VWAP videos for you. And let's take a peek at Solana here, because Solana, it's one of the big four. Now, first thing I'm noticing on Solana on the daily is we're not performing well under the December anchored VWAP. Not a good, strong position to be in for the month of December. If you're going to be longing something, you probably want to be longing something with an ascending monthly anchored VWAP. Solana has a descending or sideways anchored VWAP for its monthly. So while it could be, you know, forming some dip around here, around the November anchored VWAP, the blue line, definitely possible. Personally, I would have to wait for some strength to be built atop the December monthly anchor to consider this one. But it does look like it's printing like a nice kind of bull flag kind of pattern. But it may just need to like come down one more big leg here, especially with this new weekly candle that we just got here. What's the weekly looking like? You kind of got this like big-headed pin bar thing, so yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not too keen on Solana just because of how it's looking around the December anchored VWAP. But you did get almost a 50% retracement on that pin bar, so there could be a surprise little bottom forming here on Solana, but it's not in a position of strength, so it's not something I'm touching. I'm fading it right now, man. I'm fading it. Let's take a look at Ripple here. So Ripple, weekly kind of pin bar looking close on this one as well. You might get an entry in the low $2 range here if it's like super bullish. Notice how Ripple doesn't get those big corrections down to previous month's anchors. Like, look at the strength. That November strength. And while December has been sideways is good in this situation that it's finding itself in. The fact that we're holding and digging in these valuations is pretty strong to me. We're not really getting those corrections down, but if we did, you would see like a $1.50 or a $1.40. But you know, right now it's holding on top of that previous week's anchor, the green VWAP there. I need to zoom in a little more, man. We got to do some surgery on this Ripple chart, man. You know, I do really like how Ripple is holding the previous week's anchored VWAP here. This 232 level is extremely critical support to hold. If we lose that, well, then now we're under the previous week's VWAP and the monthly VWAP, and it does seem likely that you would get like another kind of dip down. Ripple's just so strong that I don't know if you would get that $1.50. I don't really know if you would, man. So for me, I'm actually not going to touch, I'm not touching Ripple on any trades unless we start getting some closes over that December anchored VWAP and it starts looking strong again. Then you might see some crazy volatility again, but it's kind of on ice right now. XRP is on ice most of December. It's been flat. But you just got to be mindful that if this thing starts closing, especially a daily candle close over 241, that December anchored VWAP, then it has the green light to start pumping again. But until then, it's on ice. So I'm kind of fading Ripple as well. Now, if we came down and we got a $1.50 on Ripple, oh my gosh, that would be great. I might put a limit order down there. Take a look at the stock market here, looking at the weekly close of the stock market. Well, I mean, you got an ascending 5-day simple, an ascending quarterly anchor there. It's just super, super bullish. So, you know, the weekly though, maybe you're about to get a red dot there. But that money flow is just, we're playing ball, man. It's just super bullish. Gonna have to watch this, man. But so far, nothing too concerning here yet on the S&P. And with that, I'll open it up to some chart recommendations. We'll keep it a pretty short stream. But whatever you guys want me to look at for the next 15, 20 minutes or so, I will go over whatever you want me to look up. Kleck wants me to look at Caspa. Caspa got kind of a bearish close here. Bearish trigger wave, money flow pouring out. Look at the overall picture being painted here on weekly Caspa, which is the picture of it's higher highs in price, lower highs in momentum here. And finally, we're getting a lower high with a very bearish trigger wave. And so I'm a little worried for Caspa on this macro here. Not gonna lie. Let's go on to the daily. Now your daily money flow did just cross into the green here. And it is resting atop some very, very powerful support. You're seeing Caspa nestled in between the November and October anchored VWAPs here. This is the place Caspa has to hold. If Caspa can't hold this week, it's likely going much, much lower. But this is a potential bottom on Caspa. Just because you're at that quarterly VWAP and the previous month's VWAP. It's a little bit new. It's kind of a baby indication. It hasn't really matured yet. You just got an SFP of this low right here, so this is a good justification for this to come up. It's at a critical inflection point, man. Like if it can't hold this support here, there's not much down below. Maybe I could let me enable some previous quarters and like our year to date. Let's see what the overall picture is saying. Damn, okay, so Caspa is just stuck in basically all of its AVWAPs. So, yeah, man, this is the net of support that you would really think Caspa should be able to cling on to. So, you know, if you start seeing some bullish signs on these smaller time frames, you might be able to take a trade here. But you would be longing under a declining 5-day simple. See that 5-day simple, the black line aiming down? So typically when you long under a declining 5-day simple, you're knife catching by definition. So a lot of things would have to happen for Caspa for me to really see it as performing strongly. It needs to come over and pull this 5-day simple into an uptrend again. It needs to show some firm strength over its lifetime of anchored VWAPs here. So if it can get over like 15 cents and hold, you know, then I'm feeling a lot better about Caspa. Right now, it's on the chopping block for sure. Hopefully that was good for you, man. Got a good recommendation here, Manta. Let's take a look at the Manta. Manta underneath its 5-day simple here. Got that correction down to the previous week's VWAP already. Bouncing, interestingly enough, off of its Q2 anchored VWAP. I like the succession of higher lows here. If Manta came over $1.10, started pulling that 5-day simple up again, like if it just came back up here and just started closing like even a 1-hour close over the December anchored VWAP, and you saw this 5-day simple pulling up like that in that direction, well then shit, you long that pullback and you probably do have that upward move on Manta. But I would just wait for it to reclaim that 5-day simple, for that 5-day simple to slope up, because that's really when you get the real move. I have a certain way that I talk about price and a certain way that I enter longs. I really don't like to knife catch long. I like to buy strength. It depends on how you define buying the dip, because you could buy the dip, which is back here, you know, but that oftentimes is risky. You're longing in a declining 5-day simple. So waiting for prices to come over an ascending 5-day simple, like you can see how like this point in the market right here is a much better point to long, because yeah, you're dumping, but you're dumping into a declining 5-day simple here. And so it makes this whole bullish setup come to life here, where like you have, you know, the waves going lower, but the price holding, and you have the ascending 5-day simple backing you up. This is a textbook long over here, and the kind of thing that I'm looking for when I'm looking to long a crypto. I'm not necessarily trying to be someone else's exit liquidity longing underneath that. But it's looking okay, man. It's clinging to some critical supports. It just needs to pull that 5-day simple up. What's the ticker for Coinbase stock? Jacob Virgil. If you tell me the ticker for Coinbase stock, I'll take a look at it. In the meantime, Kevin is awake. We'll look at SWE. SWE, overperformer. It's been like the talk of the town lately. Very bullish pin bar here, but expect a little volatility coming off the week. The thing is, the SWE doesn't give you the pullbacks that you want. So I doubt that SWE gives us like a pullback all the way down to the December anchored VWAP. Maybe if we're lucky, we get one back down to the previous week's anchored VWAP, the green line here at $4.20. Four-hour trigger wave here. We're looking for signs that this would go down to this green line here. But look at this. You got that ascending 5-day simple. You see the candle immediately getting... We're pumping off that 5-day simple there. So SWE just shows like... time and time again, it shows really good strength. Look how SWE... I mean, this is why I love the 5-day simple. Like, look how SWE dips down. And it's kind of a scary dip, right? You're thinking, man, does this want to go back to the December VWAP down here? But... it dumps into an increasing 5-day simple moving average, and with that you look at your wave readings, and if it looks good, you got a nice deep wave here despite prices holding really strong levels. Like, look at this hidden bull div here where the price is way higher. Like, this low is way higher than this low, but these waves have sufficiently cooled off. And we're still atop that ascending 5-day simple. So this long yesterday on SWE, I missed it. But because I was longing ETH, I was too busy longing ETH. But this was a great long on SWE. Looks like we're getting another little spurt on top of that 5-day simple. I just don't know how much juice this SWE really has. How many more times it can bounce off the 5-day simple like this before it slips underneath it, begins pulling it sideways, and then eventually down. That's the sign we want to look for, but we haven't seen that yet. So your 5-day simple is still aiming up super hard, still in an established 5-day uptrend. Definitely still looking for dips to buy on this one. If you're lucky, man, you'll get an entry down there at $4.30. If you're super lucky, you might get a December VWAP retest at $4 here, but yeah. Take a look at Pepe for Jason Marino. Good to see you in, man. Pepe, unfortunately, swiveling around and kind of struggling around this December anchored VWAP here. Ever since last week, Pepe has kind of been underperforming around that green anchored VWAP there as well. And you have a declining 5-day simple. So Pepe has a lot of work to do here. Pepe on the weekly, not looking too hot. You got that red dot there. Just like most cryptos, yellow oscillator crossing down there. I am mentally prepared, guys, for a lot of cryptos to lose those 5-day simple moving averages, to lose the December VWAP, and to slowly start working their way down to like potentially like the quarterly VWAP or something. I'm ready to adapt to an environment shift like that in the crypto markets, especially around the new year. It's the perfect time for like things like that to happen. When I look at a chart like Pepe, it does seem like this like wants to come down back to that October anchor there. This is what happens to my bias once we start losing like the monthly anchor and that 5-day simple starts to slope down. So You know, it may not go all the way down there. It could, you know, buyers could come and save this thing, you know, before or when it hits the November VWAP here at 19. And it could just go bullish again. But in terms of longing Pepe, which I'm not really in the mood to short right now, I am looking for longs. And so Pepe, not really good for a long. I wanna see a dip into an ascending 5-day simple. I want to see strength above the monthly anchor. Pepe is just not doing that for me right now. Jacob Virgil said the coin is ticket. Ticker. Coin is the ticker. Okay, got it. It's just coin. Alright, we're looking at the Coinbase stock here. You know, the stock looks like a lot of cryptos, despite the fact that it's a stock. You know, you see the higher price. Prices go higher, waves are going lower. This is definitely bearish divergence here. That being said, when it comes to shorting things, you want backup. You want to have declining anchored VWAPs, declining 5-day simples. And so, has this thing pulled into a trustable downtrend yet? Not quite, but it is showing signs of weakness. You see that 5-day simple moving average beginning to flatten out, potentially giving the bears a chance to take the reins here. So you're looking at a sideways kind of market here on this chart as the market decides what it wants to do. Do we want to giga pump and continue going super bullish, or that's what's currently being decided here. I see a lot of bearish divergence here, man. Not gonna lie. How's the weekly looking? It just had a bullish weekly close, and then it got like rejected there. Man, this is a tough call, bro. This is a tough call, but I would say don't touch it, because that 5-day simple is just flat, and it looks grotesque here on the weekly, bro. Definitely looking bearish divergent, but it looks like a lot of cryptos, so I don't know, it just looks very similar to like what a lot of cryptos are looking like right now. Trust me, if I was seeing something amazing on a chart, I'd be talking all about it. So if it doesn't speak to me, I'm cool with fading it, and I'm cool with letting you guys know like it's not really that interesting. Popcat was a recommendation I saw in the chat, so we'll look at this guy. Last time I analyzed Popcat, it wasn't looking good, and it's still not looking good. So I'm glad that my fading of Popcat has paid off, because you can see how Popcat is underperforming for the entire quarter. Ever since October 1st, we're underneath the price that Popcat was worth on October 1st. That's shitty. Think about how amazing cryptos have been performing since October. Like in September, Bitcoin was at like 50K. And so despite Bitcoin going to 50K, Popcat has underperformed. So this is a big fader, man. I'm fading the crap out of Popcat for now. What would it take to not fade this anymore? Well, for one, we want to see that 5-day simple, which is currently sloped horrendously to the downside. See that black line right there? Terribly sloped down. So, I mean, if this thing somehow pulled up, you know, and the price did something like this, you know, like at any one of these, probably like this dip right here, like once that slope becomes apparent, you know, there's a really good long there at a certain point, but it's not even that it's cooking. It hasn't even begun to cook. So like right now we're poking Popcat with a stick, wondering if it's still alive. And I don't even really like having the Q3 and Q2 anchored VWAPs up right now. because those are like very old quarters. I like looking at the current quarter, the current and previous month. The year-to-date's usually a good one to keep up, this purple year-to-date line. This is PopCat for the year. It's still doing okay for the year. You know, back at the beginning of the year, PopCat was all the way down here. It's a new coin, so like the AVWAP from its beginning, it has performed well from that point, but we're about to lose that standing. If we lose 94 cents on PopCat, it's now underperforming for the year. So watch for that sign at 94 cents. Kleck had another recommendation via, I don't know what this chart is, man, but we'll take a look at Octavia. Okay, we'll take a look at it. Oh, okay. So what I like about Octavia is that it's very far away from the year-to-date VWAP. Not many crypto charts can say that they haven't yet pumped up to their declining year-to-date yet. So maybe there's something big cooking here. That being said, look at the slope of that year-to-date. Down. Very, very powerful macro downtrend here that Octavia is trying to dig itself out of. And so any bearish trades, any bearish setups likely are going to play out to an extent before some major support is dug in. So I would expect, actually, you know, you can see this is why, like when December opened, first thing this chart does is it dumps down to that November anchored VWAP. It dumps 45% down to that teal blue previous month's anchored VWAP. In a healthy market, that tends to happen. You get a month and then it corrects back to the previous month's VWAP. So you get a nice pump off that, though. That November anchor was good support, but now we're once again struggling under that December anchored VWAP, looking very divergent. You see the price like tweezer topping up here while the momentum is dying. Let's check the weekly here. Kind of an indecisive weekly candle. Potential bearish trigger wave, yellow oscillator aiming down. Here's my take, man. Here's my take. If it closes a daily candle over the December anchored VWAP around 14.50, so if we get over like 14-15 cents here, that would be bullish. Or if we came down to the November VWAP again or the October VWAP again around 8 or 9 cents, I would be bullish there as well. So I need to see strength over the December VWAP, or I need to see this thing correct down to the November or October VWAPs before I look at it. Otherwise, it's not worth looking at. But what's nice about this chart is once you do get that good entry, you have the target. The target is 28 cents. It's this year-to-date VWAP up here. A level that likely will be retested as resistance in the future. Major, major, major resistance. Any other recommendations? Kevin is awake says, where do I get Leapfrog by FG? So Leapfrog by FG is an indicator I coded so that I can look through all the crypto charts and see how all these cryptos are doing around critical quarterly anchored VWAPs. Because using the drawing tool on TradingView was AIDS. Doing streams like this, taking chart recommendations, having to place anchors on candles all the time. So it's a powerful indicator. It gives you very powerful quarterly trade setups that come every couple months, but they're very powerful ideas that can make you a lot of money. And so I offer it. I gave it to everybody in my VIP for free. So if you do a call with me, I'll give you the indicator for free. Or if you just want to get in the Discord and get the indicators, we can do that too. But just shoot an email to me. Email in the description of the stream. Tell me what you want, and we'll work it out. But the indicator is free for anyone in my VIP. So if you're in my VIP and you don't have it, send me a DM, and I'll make sure that you get it. Twold wants me to look at Doge, and then we got an ADA recommendation too, so we'll look at ADA and Doge. And let's see here. Guess we're listening to some Final Fantasy stuff. This is pretty chill. I don't know. Let's go back to the... I like this Heaven's Night Silent Hill 2 lo-fi, man. This shit goes hard. But looking at Doge here, bearish weekly close, bearish weekly wave. Pretty concerning, especially, you know, that wave reading. I trust that bearish weekly signal. It's like when we're under the December VWAP. The white line here, anything that's underperforming around that December VWAP, you're damn skippy. I'm trusting that red dot on the weekly, because that's a very deadly combo of indications. You have the like very important VWAP resistance backing you up on that bearish wave reading on the weekly. So Doge not looking hot unless it can reclaim 42. So you know, Doge, see how December came around and Doge never came down to the November anchored VWAP? That's a much needed move. Doge could really use a correction down to 34, dig in at the previous month's anchored VWAP, and that would be a nice bounce zone right there. But I'm not holding my breath. Some of these coins are so bullish, you don't get these major corrections. So if Doge were closing over the December VWAP or bouncing off of the November VWAP or the October VWAP, if I saw strength at any one of these things, I'd consider a long on Doge. Right now, you're kind of in the interim. You're in the firmament or whatever. What's the space thing? Everyone's been talking about the firmament lately. So yeah, Doge awaiting, seeing if that weekly signal can get undone with some strength over the December VWAP. That would soften my hatred for this weekly signal a lot if we could get over 42 cents on Doge. But until then, I'm gonna be fading Doge until further notice, unless it dips down to 34 or 29. That weekly, these weekly charts are heavy, man. Heavy, 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 these weekly waves, man. Very concerned for all of cryptos and the stock market, all markets around a new year. You never know what's going to happen around these New Year's, man. Let's take a peek at ADA. We had a good ADA recommendation. ADA is a good one to look at. Gotta look at the Cardanzo. My gosh. Right here on the daily, guys. Look at that wave dying off. Losing the December VWAP. It's just like Doge. Never got that November anchor correction, which in a healthy market, like all year, Bitcoin, every single month, Bitcoin would pump or dump back to the previous month's anchored VWAP. Now all of a sudden, because everything's done pumping, it seems like we're not getting these major monthly corrections. But maybe we will. Who knows? I mean, now we're getting the weekly signals that we should get those big corrections. Looking at Cardanzo here, that weekly wave signal bearing down on us, just like many other cryptos. And I trust it because we're losing the December anchored VWAP. So, you know, if Cardanzo reclaimed a $1.12 and started closing like a daily candle over a $1.12, you got the green light for continuation. But until then, I would expect and have potentially spot buys down here at 82 or 76 cents. It seems far away, guys, but it makes sense to take these two previous lows, stop a bunch of people out, and then you dump into these ascending monthly anchors, and that's a perfect spot for a dip. I see Render, I see Gala, I see ICP. A lot of recommendations today, man. I'm grateful that you guys are all in here. All in here with me going over this stuff, man. It's a new week. It's exciting times. You never know what's going to happen. What's the ticker for Render? Isn't it RNDR? Or is it render? Man, so this is a whole class of cryptocurrencies now, like in terms of the anchor, the AVWAP situation. You guys have seen this enough times in a row on this stream now, where this is basically, there's a whole class of cryptos that are underperforming now around their December VWAP, struggling with a very tough weekly sell signal. Therefore, you're basically sidelined, waiting for strength above the December VWAP to manifest, or you're looking for dips down here at these previous months anchored VWAPs. So these are your levels to look for. Can we reclaim $9.38? Or are we going to have to wait for $7.78 or $7.16? That's where I'm at with render right now. All these cryptos still looking great on the macro. You get this big pump up. You pull all the quarterly anchors into this ascending posturing. So while a dump may panic people, like you see this big wick down, scares a lot of people, scared me too. But when you dump into ascending anchors, you find buyers every single time. Every single time. I already checked SWE. So I'm not going to go over SWE again. We'll take a look at ICP. I wonder if ICP, how it's doing around its December anchor. Oh, man. It's not looking good for a lot of these coins, man. Losing that December anchor is just not good. But now, for reference, just for reference here, look at Ethereum. Still strongly trending over its December anchor. And so this whole like weekly sell signal, haven't even gotten the red dot yet on ETH. So I'm still like, there's still hope for Ethereum. I'm still bullish on Ethereum as long as we hold the ascending 5-day simple, the December anchored VWAP. Same with Bitcoin. See how Bitcoin is showing great strength over its December anchored VWAP? And so you don't weigh this weekly sell signal as hard. But if Bitcoin were to lose 98.6, all of a sudden that weekly sell signal starts looking terrifying. My guy wants me to look up Gala and Whiff. Gala, another one. You're looking for buys down there at around 3 or 4 cents. If you can get buys around 3 cents, that would be a godsend on Gala. Otherwise, if we're closing above 5 cents, Gala's got that strength and it comes back to life. But as of right now, it's on the chopping block. Whiff. Now here's what's dangerous about Whiff. Whiff is underneath 3 months VWAPs. It's under the December VWAP, the November VWAP, and the October VWAP now. It's got a declining 5-day simple. This is simply not the dip that you want to buy on Whiff. I am fading the crap out of this. Whiff could potentially wick down 27% down to the year to date. And if you look at the overall picture on Whiff here, that would not be out of the ordinary. But it doesn't have to happen. I'm just saying, longing under declining 3 months of declining anchors and a declining 5-day simple, you're asking for trouble. I would say wait for this to come back over 3.2 to go swing long on Whiff. Or wait for a rebuy or a spot long. Put some orders down here at $1.94 that year to date. There'll probably be a bounce there. But yeah, people, I know someone who's like hard on Whiff. Like a little too hard on Whiff. I wouldn't put too much of your money in shitcoins, especially shitcoins underperforming around multiple months anchors. Saizasito said, can you check out Solana? I did check out Solana earlier, but just to go over it again, It's in the class of a lot of B tier cryptos right now struggling with the monthly anchored VWAP, that white line up there. And so you're looking for either strength above 227 for a swing long, or you're looking for a buy down at perhaps the quarterly anchor at like $195 here. Yeah, it's just not, I would have to see it's a little bit of strength on Solana before considering a long on that. If you look at Sol ETH, still underperforming against Ethereum, so it just makes more sense to like hold Ethereum now instead of Solana. Solana had its time for a very long time, so it's what's happening here is that ETH BTC recently hit a monthly bottom. Like you look at ETH BTC, look what's going on in ETH BTC. So this is clearly going to slurp a lot of the money away from Solana and other coins into Ethereum slowly. But even this chart, it's like you get this great buy signal, but you're still dealing with a declining year to date here on ETH BTC. That being said, you see ETH BTC like clawing its way back to life, slowly building a case. It's really taken its time. In fact, you're seeing a head and shoulders here, so I'm a little bit worried about ETH BTC potentially forming a right shoulder here before forming like more structure. I am expecting ETH BTC to eventually go back up to like 0.05, like that year to date. But that year to date's gonna have to flatten out a bit, and it's just gonna take time for these VWAPs to slowly curve into an uptrend and give ETH BTC the structure for ETH to really pump up, like to like 5K or something. But I would say as long as ETH BTC holds this current level, or even this right shoulder level, like over here, I'm still pretty hopeful on Ethereum. Now, if we lost this level right here, like this support, where my line is here, like that would be very concerning, obviously, because we're probably going lower, and that would really suck. But you know, look at the money flow rounding out nicely here. So I'm still an ETH tard for now, not a Solana tard. Ryan Richardson said to look at TIA. Looks like I was doing some analysis on this before. Man, sometimes I look at my old analysis, I'm like, what the hell was I doing? But interesting thing about TIA is it came up and it recently retested yearly resistance. You see, TIA had started off 2024 very strong, but didn't take too well to the bear market here. That being said, like when Q4 came around, that gave us the ability to build a case and get that retest of the year-to-date resistance. And now we're just dealing with the consequences. We get a huge rejection off that year-to-date resistance, fighting our way through these anchors. You would have to wait a little bit longer on this. I would say don't buy this dip quite yet, as that 5-day simple is still sloped strongly to the downside. So what you would need to see is for this 5-day simple to slope up like this, and for the candle price action to hold these anchors and start working its way up like that. And you either get an entry down here at the quarterly or the previous month's anchored VWAP, currently at like $6.42 or like $6. If you could get some TIA at like $6, that would be cool. But you don't, I wouldn't stress being early to buy the dip on TIA. It's okay to wait for this 5-day simple to be scooped up, wait for some strength, wait for an established uptrend to show itself. Attack, what's up, bro? He says, can you please check IO? IO looks like an overperformer here, looking like we're over the December anchored VWAP here. Looking at the weekly chart, not much data here to go off of. Let's see. Definitely looking overextended over this. So look at this year-to-date resistance that we didn't really get a strong correction from. Makes sense to me that we would have to like long-term retest this year to date as support as this slowly goes sideways and then turns up. Like you're kind of imagining that long-term structure here. So I would expect 2025 to be a year of IO digging itself deeply into that year-to-date support and eventually working its way up, but it might be a little overextended now. You know, it could hold this December anchored VWAP, but the issue is now you're under a fresh, see this 5-day simple here? We've dumped underneath it. We've pulled it sideways, and so you're dealing with a bottoming formation here. You would have to see if the candles can even hold this December anchored VWAP at $3.60 or not. If you see good strength and you see it beginning to reclaim the 5-day simple and pull it back up into an uptrend, it's looking good. Otherwise, you would have to look for some more longer term buys down here at $2.64, or even perhaps $2.50 or $2.30. A lot of liquidity here to be taken here on IO. But a bounce off that December anchor is possible if it's an overperformer. You know, it is possible for sure, for sure. Just make sure that 5-day simple's got your back. Hit the likes on the stream, guys. If you like anchored VWAP analysis, not many crypto influencers talk about anchored VWAPs. So my TA is different from a lot of people, but that's why I love it. Because it's simple, it's effective, it's dynamic, and it's big picture shit. I like going over big picture shit. I don't really like scalping. So I like talking about these big picture ideas. So if you like these big picture ideas, drop a like on the stream and subscribe. Dave Collins says XVG. Yeah, let's take a look at Verge, bro. Verge tussling around the December anchored VWAP, looking bearish divergent, money flow pouring out on this 9-hour time frame. I wish I was more hopeful going into this morning, guys. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. ETH and BTC and a couple overperformers like SWI or IO looking strong over the December anchored VWAP still. But a lot of these cryptos just have a lot of work to do. So I'm a little worried for Verge. Can it hold this December anchored VWAP? If not, it's likely going down to 1 cent again. Simple as that. Previous month's anchored VWAP, perhaps even the year to date down here. Zooming in to the 5-day trend. Now we're analyzing this 5-day trend. Notice how we're dumping into an ascending 5-day simple. This actually bodes well for a long scalp or any kind of long trade. When you dump below a 5-day simple and it's still ascending, it doesn't have to happen. You can see how back here, we dumped into an ascending 5-day simple. We never got that retest of the 5-day simple before more down. It just went down and down and down. So it doesn't have to happen, but a lot of times dumping into an ascending 5-day simple generates a good long opportunity. You can see right here, we dumped into that ascending 5-day simple and there was a little bit of a kaputs to the upside, but personally, I'm not touching this. This fell a little too far away from that 5-day simple to give me that much hope. This is likely going to go flat very quickly and then slowly curve down as this thing kind of just like meanders down from that December anchored VWAP resistance there. But if I'm wrong and we start coming over that December anchored VWAP again, pump back up, get back up to this level, it could fight its way out, but yeah, sorry for the LARP lines. Ryan Richardson says Phantom looks strong right now. Let's take a look at Phantom. Ooh, okay. Damn, okay, Phantom is just straight up getting a little random dip. What is this, a bounce off the VWAP from the low? Okay, that's pretty bullish. So Phantom right now, finding some support off of some short-term VWAP action. That's pretty powerful. You can see how Phantom is over its December, the white December anchored VWAP here. And it's also on top of that ascending 5-day simple moving average. That's crazy, man. What else do you want me to say, man? What else do you want me to say? It's looking really good to be bouncing from that point, but it may be fake. I don't know. Maybe it's fake and it does have to come down, get a retest of that SMA. Maybe you could get in on a long at $1.27. If it has to come down lower, it could go back to that December VWAP. But tight trigger wave there on the 1 hour, man. Honestly, this is something that would have this eluded me, man, because I typically like to get nice macro bounces off strong macro dynamic support. So once it starts like doing dips like this, it's tough to catch on when the dips aren't that dippy. But I'm happy to see a coin actually doing well this morning. Attack says, dude, a lot of the charts you showed seem to be ready for a dump. I'm kind of scared of some of my long terms. Yeah, dude. I think that it's not a bad time to take profits, man, in these markets. At least in the medium term. Like, let the new year's volatility and uncertainty go by before you start reallocating. Like, I know that people say to hold on to shit, but there's only a few coins you ever want to hold on to for the rest of your life, you know? Like Bitcoin, maybe you could argue, Bitcoin, I'm going to just buy it, never sell it, and just hold on to it forever, but you can't say that for a lot of coins. Most shit coins go down with time. So I would say there is no shame in taking profits for the year when you see warning signs. I mean, think about what you can do with that money that's real, that's corporeal and tangible right now. If you're able to give your family a good Christmas, good memories, and reward yourself for the hard work you put in this year, I would say do it, man. At Market Cipher, man, we're traders, bro. That's why our channels don't pop off as hard as they could. Like, my brother would have 1 million subscribers, and I would have 100,000 subscribers if I just told everyone to buy this and buy that and never sell and diamond hands this and just hold on to hodl for dear life all the time and just be my exit liquidity. But that's never been how Market Cipher has been. We're not afraid to call when things are rickety, and my brother and I do take profits. So I can't tell you guys to hold on to shit for the rest of your life while I'm over here dumping. You know what I'm saying? So right now, I do have a lot of Link. I have Pepe, I have ETH and shit. But man, if ETH started losing its December anchored VWAP, might have to sell a little bit of ETH. You know, if a larger end of year correction starts manifesting, I'll let you guys know. A lot of these shit coins are definitely showing some bad signs. It really just is all coming down to that weekly signal on Bitcoin. Like this red dot here, I am so curious what happens to this. Like when we look at previous times in Bitcoin's history, when we get to this level, typically it implies a lot of, I mean, look at the duration of this red dot here. That was 217 days of really doing nothing / pain after you get that signal. Look over here where you get this red dot here, and that was like the top of the entire cycle for years. That being said, like if you go back to other points, you know, like look at during this bull run when the money flows thick enough, I mean shit, it could just be a small correction and then we just keep simply going up. And so the macro factors, where Bitcoin's at in its lifetime, really matters. We just got to remain adaptable. And, if we see a green dot, you got to be ready to shift bullish again. Like, get ready for the wave to turn back up. Like, for instance, when we lost the 60 line over here on Bitcoin's weekly back in like April, May, March and stuff, a lot of people were calling like cycle top and stuff, but I never really bought into that because I did always feel like, that this would eventually turn up. Like, you look at the monthly wave here, and yeah, we got like a big red dot on the monthly, but we didn't even fall below the 60 line before we got a green dot again. So just remain adaptable and accept that we might be heading into a sideways or painful like next quarter potentially, or maybe not. But yeah, that's it for me today, guys. So if you like the stream, give it a like and a comment, and I'll be streaming again in a couple days when some new signs show themselves. But thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good one.